Welcome to our video scribe. I'm Elle, and I'm going to be talking you through one of our collecting diversity data tools. This scribe focuses on how to collect it. Also in the toolbox are scribes on what is diversity data, why collect it, and getting ready. In this scribe, we'll be covering communications, governance, and the questions. Let's start with communications. Prepare the right people. Before you communicate, equip your key contacts to answer questions on why you're collecting the data. For example, if you're asking volunteers, equip your volunteer contacts or development team with the information they need. And encourage them to remind volunteers to provide their data. Get your CEO involved. We recommend that the first request for any diversity data comes from your CEO. This will give it the attention and status it deserves. It's a journey. As we discussed in getting ready to collect, building trust is really important. So don't ask straight away, but instead gradually build up to it. Our communication templates will help you do this. Link into external factors that will help people understand the need for data, such as Black Lives Matter or diversity-related service user research. Remind people to provide their data at appropriate points in their journey. For example, embed reminders in your service user journey. Our communication templates will help you do this too. Okay, now let's talk about governance. A question we hear often is, can we make it mandatory to provide diversity data? No, you can't. You can always ask the question, but you always need to give people the option prefer not to say. However, depending on your people system, you can ensure that people can't leave the diversity data page blank, but instead need to tick the prefer not to say box. How often should you ask for the data? Excluding reminders, we recommend that you ask for the data annually. This is because some diversity data, such as disability, changes. So does people's willingness to provide their data. Also, don't forget to embed asking for the questions within your people's journeys, so you're capturing new data. For example, ask every new service user, employee, volunteer, and donor for their diversity data, and keep reminding them to complete the questions. Finally, the questions. We're not going to cover all the details in the scribe, but you can find them in our Collecting Diversity Data guide. However, we do want to highlight some of the nuances around some of the questions. Drop-down menus. You'll want to balance giving people the right responses for them with making it easy to compare yourselves to your target population. For example, if you're comparing yourself to the diversity of religion in the UK, you'll want to use the same drop-down menus as the UK census, so you can easily see how you compare. That's what we've used for the drop-down menus in our guide. However, if you want to compare yourself to a specific region or a specific age group, for example, we suggest adapting them to the relevant benchmarks. We've included information in the guide on how to find those benchmarks. The terms you use. Terminology is tricky. Not everyone identifies with the same language or terms. We want people to feel comfortable to be themselves. So in many cases, we suggest giving the option of self-describe or free text box so people feel included. An important example of this is with sexual orientation. Alternative questions. In some cases, we have provided alternative ways of asking the questions. That's because, particularly for certain people, for example people with dementia, the terminology may be difficult to understand. So we provide different ways of asking. For example, rather than asking, what's your sexual orientation? You can ask, who do you prefer to have intimate relationships with? Or what kind of person are you attracted to? We've also included alternative drop-down menus in these cases. Specifics. We want to highlight some specific points to note. Pregnancy and maternity. We don't include a question on it because you shouldn't ask about it. It's up to people if they want to share with you and when. Gender reassignment. It's really important to remember that not everyone identifies with the word trans, so it's better to ask whether someone identifies as the same gender they were assigned at birth. We also don't recommend including terms like trans female or trans male. People will tell you what gender they identify with in the gender questions. Disability. Not everyone who has a disability in the eyes of the law identifies with the term. For example, my dad has a hearing impairment and my mum has dementia, and neither of them disclose that they have a disability on any forms. That's why we've included an additional question on accessibility, not just because it will help you have more accurate disability data, but because it will help you understand people's accessibility needs, so that you can make adjustments to your organisation accordingly. However, you'll need to be clear that you're not using the data to implement reasonable adjustments, because the information they provide can't be used to identify them. So we'd suggest including details of how people can get adjustments in your organisation alongside the question. One last thing. Our guide to diversity data only includes question templates for protected characteristics. But if you want help to collect data on other diversity elements, such as socioeconomic background or caring status, just ask us. Head back to Charity Culture Catalyst to think about the next step in your diversity data journey.